Ladies and gentlemen, very welcome to the Cliffs of Moher. Here we are about 2/3 of the way down the entire cliff face, and way over here to our right hand side is the most southern point of the cliffs. You'll see there's a tower on the most southern point to our right, and this tower was built in 1813 by the British during the British occupation of the island of Ireland. The British were afraid that Napoleon or the Spanish were going to invade the island of Ireland and then subsequently invade Britain. So they built a series of these towers all around our coast. There are 54 of them in total. They run all the way from Dublin as far south as County Cork and as far north as County Donegal. And each one of these towers, you can see one to the north and one to the south. So the corresponding tower to the one that we have here at Hag's Head is now on our left hand side. You'll see on the island of Inisheer, that's the one with the lighthouse on it. Can you see here to our left? And then at the highest point on the island, you'll see the corresponding tower. So that's the distance that they would have had to send a signal from one tower to another. So for example, if an invading fleet was coming up from the south of Ireland, the first tower that would see this invading fleet, they would light a fire on top if the visibility was quite bad, or if the visibility was quite good, they would run up flags of different shapes and meanings on a flagpole, and they would send a very detailed message from one tower to the other. So as one of the towers would do this, the next tower would do exactly the same, and then so on and so forth, like a domino effect all the way up along the coast. But they were never actually used, as neither Napoleon or the Spanish ever invaded the island of Ireland, and the British left here in 1923, Buíochas na Dia. So the water here is very deep right up to the edge. Currently we're in 54 meters of water, and this allows us to get nice and close, but I don't really want to get too close today because, I don't know how to tell you guys this, but today is my first day. And I'm super nervous. I'm only joking, it's my second day. Alright, let's get right back to the very beginning of how these cliffs were actually formed. So millions of years ago there was an ancient river that ran down through northern Europe and it exited into the Atlantic Ocean at this point. As sand and sediment and silt was being carried down the river, it all got deposited on one side of the riverbank, and then over millions of years through atmospheric pressure, all this sand and sediment and silt got compacted into the rock that you see here before you. But this rock was going much further out. It's going out towards the Aran Islands, which I pointed out earlier on our left, and the main creator of the cliffs has been the wild Atlantic Ocean crashing against the rock and carving the cliffs out of the sea. The cliffs are in fact they're getting smaller and smaller every year. As you're looking at the cliffs, you're looking at one side of a cutaway hill or a mountain, as the cliffs at the top fall away behind the top of the cliffs down towards the towns of Lahinch, Liscannor and Ennistimon. So now folks, if you look directly to our right and then over to the right again, over here almost behind the boat now at this stage, you'll see a large cave coming into view, if anyone can see where I'm pointing. It's over here. And this cave featured in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, which was the second last Harry Potter film to be filmed in the series. We get asked about it all the time. Not sure what all the fuss is about, it only featured for about 7 seconds in the movie, but I guess that's the power of Harry Potter. Straight from the soundtrack of Harry Potter. Another very famous film that was filmed here was the 1987 classic The Princess Bride. In that film, these cliffs were the Cliffs of Insanity, with Wesley and Buttercup and hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. I'm here to die. If you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube. It's a classic. It went straight to home video in 1987. So you might be able to see some people walking along the top of the cliffs as well, folks. Up to 1.5 million people visit these cliffs on an annual basis, making them Ireland's second most popular tourist attraction after the Guinness Storehouse in Dublin. So that means that beer is way more important than beautiful scenery. And we're serving Guinness downstairs if anyone would like to try a nice cold Guinness. This cruise brought to you by Guinness. Guinness is good for you. Drink Guinness sensibly. Don't spill a drop. Disclaimer, there is no Guinness downstairs. During the nesting season, over 40,000 birds will nest here, making it one of Ireland's largest seabird colonies. The largest family of birds that come and nest here are called the Auks, A-U-K-S, and they consist of the guillemot, the razorbill, and the puffin. So, there is a puffin directly ahead of the boat, folks. If you haven't seen a puffin, like, it's unbelievable the amount of puffins that are here today. So the puffin just to the right of the front of the boat, this puffin's name is Patrick, and he is here every day. He's just to the front of the boat on the right here. There's little Patrick. He's coming very close. Be very, very quiet. There's Patrick. Patrick the puffin. Oh, he's gone. Anyway, guys, loads and loads of puffins. If you do not see a puffin on this cruise, guys, I'm afraid you're just going to have to Google it when we get back, because I've never seen so many puffins around the boat. And the reason for this is because it's so calm And they're getting more and more familiar with the boat. But there's another 2 puffins, 3, 4, 5 just ahead of the boat on the right. One of them they're starting to fly there. Look at them batting their wings. So puffins are amazing birds. Okay, they come here from the middle of the Atlantic. Their natural habitat. They're only found in the North Atlantic, and they come here for one reason and one reason only. Oh, there's loads over here on the left. Look at these puffins here. Oh, look at those. That's Michelle and Eileen and loads of puffins. So they come here from the mid-Atlantic and they come here to lay their egg. Their natural habitat, get this now, in the winter their beaks are blue. They only go multicolored when they're mating, so they put on their makeup. And they come here to lay their egg, and how do they do that? They dig a tunnel in the grassy areas along the cliff. So if you look closely at the grassy areas, you might be able to see some white specks in the grass, and that's the female or the male puffin standing at the guarding the entrance to the actual tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, they lay a single egg. The tunnel is about 1 meter long. They lay a single egg, and when that egg hatches, it produces a chick, and that chick is called a puffling. So baby puffins are called pufflings. After 4 weeks, the puffling throws itself off the edge of the cliff into the water. And after 26 weeks, the puffling is fully grown into an adult and will live between 35 and 40 years. Really strong birds. These birds can dive 20 meters underwater. Catch fish. So can you imagine them all winter long? They sit out in the middle of the Atlantic, as far away from all land as possible, sitting on top of the worst waves imaginable, the worst storms imaginable, and they just sit there. And they just fish. That's it. Easy peasy. And now folks, the Fiesta Resistance is the highest point over here on our right hand side. Highest point is 702 feet or 220 meters. You'll see on top of the highest point there's a round white tower. It's just going out of view right now, but there's a round white tower up there. That tower was built in 1835 by Cornelius O'Brien, and he was a local landlord who owned the cliffs until his death in 1857. He built the tower for the many Victorian tourists who used to come and take in the magnificent views from the top of the cliff. And a perfect example of waves and rain erosion of the face of cliffs on a daily basis is this monument here on our right hand side. This natural monument is called on Burnon Moor. It's a sea stack or a tall pillar of rock. And the way this was formed was it originally would have been the end of a peninsula, and then the sea would have started to erode away between the 2 points and would have created a cave just like the Harry Potter sea cave. And eventually then this cave would have become an archway, so it eroded right through to the other side. And if you can imagine there was an arch at one stage coming off the top of the cliff down onto the top of the sea stack, and then over time the archway collapsed, and that's what left the sea stack as we see it today. But this process happens over a very long period of time. We have seen some photographs of the sea stack from the late 1800s and early 1900s, and it looks very similar to the way it does today. So even though these cliffs are extremely brittle and large pieces of the cliff can fall off from time to time, it does take a very long time for them to be eroded away. We're actually really lucky to be down here right now, folks, because I can see there's a mist and a fog coming on at the top. Often we get this huge big blanket of mist and fog that actually covers the whole top of the cliffs, almost like a duvet, and you can see nothing at the top. But it often just stays at the top of the cliffs, and we can see everything down here. So just going back to the bird life again, so some of the other birds that are in the water, the guillemot and the razorbill. The guillemot is a light grey bird, a dark grey bird with a white belly and a long pointed beak. And its cousin, the razorbill, is in the water beside them, and they have a they're jet black with a white belly, and they've got a long white stripe running along a flat black beak. So you can actually make them out in this bunch here to our right. You can see the razorbills are jet black, and then the guillemots are just a little bit lighter. Guillemot and a razorbill. Again, these are amazing birds as well. They don't build any nests, they don't dig any tunnel, they just lay their egg directly onto the edge of the cliff without any nest whatsoever. And the egg is actually shaped in such a way that it cannot roll off the edge of the cliff. If both parents have to leave the egg actually falls over on its side and it rolls in a centric circle rather than from left to right. You can also see some, we call them seagulls in the water as well, but these are called kittiwakes. They're kittiwakes. They're like your general seagull. And there's also a predatory bird here. There is a pair of peregrine falcons nested just underneath the White Tower, and they control 14 kilometers of cliff face. There is no other predatory bird here, and these falcons, their food is every other bird, and it is spectacular when you see them swooping in to catch another bird. So the guillemots and the razorbills and the puffins, their only safety mechanism is safety in numbers. It's just a lottery. Puffins are a delicacy in Iceland and the Faroe Islands, but we don't eat them in Ireland. If you look over here on the sea stack, you'll see all the guillemots and razorbills are standing on the edge.